Hello everyone, this is FanGamer with a little boxing of the offline product game review. This is OMORI for the PlayStation 4, but this is being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, the on-disc version says it's 1.0. Now we know this isn't exactly true, as at the time of making this video there were no updates available, as well as the on-disc software. When you boot up the game at the main menu, the version says 1.08. Now, I've mentioned this before, sometimes when they print out these discs, sometimes they just refer to 1.0 as vanilla version of the disc. The disc hasn't been updated or anything, but the software can sometimes be more updated on the disc. I wish they didn't do this, because it can make it very confusing to get better information. I wish they just refer to the software as the disc and the disc as the software. It just makes things a lot easier to know what version you're dealing with the software. As well as that this physical copy was produced by FanGamer. FanGamer is another boutique kind of game store where they produce physical copies, as well as other merchandise, but they're not as limited number production as like limited run games or special reserve games, and so on and so forth. They generally do produce a little bit more physical copies. I'm not saying they produce mass amounts, but you might have a better chance getting one down the road than like limited run games and so on. I'm not saying that you can be able to hold off, but just letting you know that you could get a better chance to get a better price, and then look into it. I think they're still even selling them at FanGamer at the time of making this video. Now, if you don't know anything about OMORI, then you're just like me. I jumped into OMORI as my first, with no information or no details about the game, and I did relatively enjoy the game. It was definitely a pleasant and interesting experience, though I did have some gripes and certain little bug picks here and there. But if you're not aware that it's just straight up a traditional JRPG, but it has a very cutesy atmosphere, good soundtracks and stuff like that. But please keep in mind that this game does touch on some very dark and sensitive subjects for some people. So if you're not into that kind of stuff, then you might want to avoid this game. This game is definitely not meant for children. Just a head of advice about that. The game doesn't go super dark, but it does go into a sadder experience. I can't really go into details because it would lead to spoilers, but just keep that in mind in case that's something you're not really interested in. As I said, it is a kind of JRPG element. You just do typical turn-based combat in the game, issue out commands, attack, heal, and so on. But the only thing they've really changed mechanically is that the game, instead of introducing like fire, ice, and thunder, they kind of have like emotion kind of effects, where then you have happiness, anger, and sadness, and each one kind of like a rock, paper, scissors system. Some give you some buffs, some give you debuffs, and some are stronger against other ones. So you kind of try to learn how to balance it out through that. I have to point out that when I played the game, I didn't really have to utilize that very much when I was playing it. I just grind a lot and got really strong. I didn't really have to worry about emotion stuff. And once I kind of learned my system and what abilities were the best ones to use and which emotions were the best at that current moment, then it wasn't really anything super in depth. Now, the game isn't clearly about gameplay. It's really just more a focus on a story, narrative, and character and universe building, what they're trying to do. Which is nothing wrong with that. The gameplay is there, and the game is very stylish with it. I really like the combat, how it's a very crayon kind of atmosphere to it. It's very well done. I really like that art style and how they approached it all. But as I said, it's more focused on story. I can't go into details about the story because that would lead massive spoilers. It's something you would have to just play for yourself to get an idea about the game. But this may lead to spoilers and talking about this, but it's really at right at the beginning of the game, so I don't know if it's really a spoiler. But the game takes place in like two sections. You have the dream world, and then you have reality. And this is where it kind of just makes it hard for me to play personally, is that I'm not really into the whole it's all a dream thing, it's not real, nothing that actually mattered what you chose to do in that dream world. I'm not a fan of that personally. I'm not saying everything you do in the dream game in this game doesn't matter, but I'm not into that kind of story writing. Now, I fully understand the writing for this, why they went this route with it, and it perfectly makes sense. But for me, it's harder the fact that when you go into reality part of the story in this game, it just seems so much more interesting, so more grounded, darker, and more atmospheric. I understand that the story is supposed, I mean, the dream world is supposed to be all cutesy for a reason. Can't go into details, spoilers, but I mean, I really wish the game involved more of the reality aspect than involving the dream side of it. As because a lot of the dream characters, I mean, outside the main cast, isn't very interesting. Nothing I really care about. So most of the time I was just doing quests and stuff like that that just did not interest me. I was just more eager to get out of the dream world to get back to reality. That's only my big gripe, other than, like I said, the combat. I mean, it wasn't as engaging as I may have wanted, since I've played many JRPGs. It's, I mean, grind up, get really powerful, dominate the battlefield, that's about it. It does have at least some customizations in terms of equipment and skills and stuff like that, so there's that. But other than that, I can't really talk too much more about the story. Personally, for me, I probably would have liked the story to be a little bit more darker, just because I play survival horror games and stuff like that. I like really, really cute things, and I like really, really dark things. So this game's like a mixture of them both, of super cute and slightly a dark atmosphere story to it. I mean, it's still a good story, and it's very well written and very well done, and very impactful when you start realizing what's going on. But to me, it could have been at least more intriguing. I think the game is very artistic. That's the one thing that really it stood out for me near the end of the game, was that the game is very artistic, it's very stylized, it's very good music, it keeps you going, it keeps you intrigued as much as they can throughout the story. But I do think the dream side of the game leans too hard on that. I wish it had more of the reality, because when you start going to the reality, it's really cool. I really love that aspect of that side of the story of the game, and I really enjoy RPGs that involve children. I don't know why. I've always had like Earthbound, Undertale, and there was another game I remember talking about, a Tales game that you start as children, and I wish the game involved you around children in that game. I don't know, I just think it's interesting to change, because we play so many RPGs where you're adult, or some old man, or some main high schooler boy somehow is the chosen child, or something like that. It's nice to play 9, 12, 15, 14-year-old boys and girls and stuff like that. It's very interesting in terms of story writing. Like I said, it's not much I can really add to the aspects of this game without going into spoilers. It's a good game, and I think it's well worth your time that when you have it on your shelf. If you're into these RPGs, you would like to have a game that's close to like maybe something like Undertale. The game does make some references to Undertale amongst other medias and other games in the game, because I mean, I'm sure it was heavily inspired by many works. But like I said, I can see why people loved it, and I really enjoyed it myself for what it is. But I mean, I can't really say I loved it as much as like Undertale or some other JRPGs I have played, but I really like the idea of what they went with this. I just wish that less focus on the dream side, maybe even scrap the whole dream side and focus more onto the reality side, and I think that would have been really shot up for me. But that's my personal take on that. Some people might feel different about that. They don't really care about if it's a dream world or not. I just had to point that out. I don't really think that's a spoiler, because man, it's right at the beginning of the game, so about the whole thing. So in my personal opinion, it's definitely worth looking into. If you're a fan of JRPGs, I'd say it's definitely worth a pickup, or any of these kind of stylized games, very focus on story and style and stuff like that. I think it's well worth to have it on your shelf for that. So like always, I try to leave links down in the description if you're instant copy, and like I said, I say look into it, because I mean, it's from FanGamer, so it's somewhat from a boutique store. It shouldn't be super hard to get right now, currently at the time making this video, and again, it's just one of those interesting games you could probably have on your shelf. I think some things could have changed and done better in terms of just my personal taste, but each their own on that. For our product, like I said, it had no updates available. It's a fully updated version. I didn't experience any problems or any issues throughout my entire time playing it. It ran smoothly, it ran great, played just fine on my PlayStation 5. So if you're just really for that, then it's well worth a pickup for the physical copy as preservation of a very artistic and interesting story and characters and stuff. So I'm going to start rambling now. Like I said, I'll try to leave links down in the description, both to just eBays and all this other stuff, but I will try to leave links to FanGamer, which I would it'd be better to get it from them, because I think that they're probably not going to overcharge you from scalpers or anything, at least at the time of making this video. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye bye.